This is General Phahlane. He arrived at the ad hoc committee on what we would call his high horse. Hold on. Let me explain why. Well, I don't blame him. This man was told to step aside by Phahlane Balula when he was at the height of his career, appointed by President Jacob Zuma at the time. And he says, if he was appointed by President Zuma, he was supposed to be disappointed by President Zuma in the same breath. Unfortunately, Phahlane Balula, being Phahlane Balula, decided in a 5-minute conversation that he needed to step aside. So, knowing this kind of history and that he has a chip on his back, he has a bone to chew with everyone, probably, likely, life hasn't been too kind to him. He lost the status that he had as the acting national commissioner. For those who aren't quite familiar with General Khomutso Phahlane, we would say at the time he was the equivalent of Masamaula. Okay? So now that I've kind of set the stage for you, why do I say he arrived on his high horse? Well, the first thing he said after being sworn in is, let me tell you something. I have conditions. I didn't just come to Cape Town to play. So we're going to start with my conditions. Let me play the conditions for you.
Because we are not going to do justice. That's my plea. I certainly don't have an issue with proceeding. And in answering your question, I'm at home. I was unlawfully dismissed. That matter is before the Labour Appeals Court. The Labour Appeals Court may pronounce this week or next week, and I don't want to go further into that. That's where it is. Let's allow the courts to pronounce.
So, in summary, after being sworn in, he said, let me tell you something. I wrote a very, very lengthy and detailed statement. I am here and I want to talk about everything, and I do not want to be rushed. Don't rush me. The statement, ladies and gentlemen, is 128 pages. I'll repeat. Or is it 168? I don't know why I'm mixing up those two numbers, but it's between those two. Either way, it's a lot of pages for them to go through, where you know how the ad hoc committee gives the invitee the chance to speak uninterrupted, and then afterwards all the committee members are then given an opportunity to question him or cross-examine him, so to speak. And he just automatically, they haven't started, they just saw him in. He says, I've got a lot to say, you can't rush me. Then Julius Malema says this.
The EFF. No, thanks, Chairperson. I really don't know what we're doing and where the consents of the witness come from, because in this committee, we've never rushed through any affidavit. And there must never be such a suggestion that we rush through affidavits. And in this committee, there's never been a witness which left here unsatisfied that my issues were not sufficiently canvassed. And therefore, where that consent comes from, I don't know. When you told us that was going to finish at 9, the chief whip of the ANC and everybody else knew what you were saying. When you said 9, we knew you were talking 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, because that's what you say. But we're going to finish at 9. At 9, we start renegotiating again to finish at 11, and we finish at 1. That's how effective we are. We're very serious about these matters. So we can't, right at the beginning, say, it looks like we're going to have a problem. 168 pages does not necessitate anything. It can be 168 pages with few issues that can be sufficiently canvassed, and by 9 o'clock we're done. But this committee at all times, when it is not satisfied itself, it will stretch itself and come to a conclusion that we need another day. But we can't start by saying we need another day, and the reason is it's 168 pages. That cannot be a criterion. This issue which I'm picking up is that the concerns are, I can't just come to rush through the thing, and I'm saying we've never done that. We're going to give this matter the attention it deserves, and by the time General leaves here, you'll be satisfied like the rest of others who came before us here and they left satisfied. Thanks.
Listen, Julius Malema is absolutely hilarious. Basically, he says, who do you think you are? You can't just tell us you wrote 168 pages and expect a trophy. And literally, why do you think you deserve it? Let us run through the day. Nobody has ever come and we don't let them go through what they have with satisfaction. Actually, in Kavinde, you guys chased him out. But anyway, that's besides the point. Julius has a point. He's right. He could not start by saying, we're not going to finish. We're not going to finish. The one day's not going to work because I have a lot to say. Okay, I want to talk it all through. I want to ventilate everything. Basically, I want everything off my chest. So you can see, I'm going to play you the clip and I want you to take a look at the body language of General Phahlane. He was not impressed with what Julius Malema had just responded. So let's watch the clip. Let me know what you notice in the body language. I'll be back with my commentary.
But we can't start by saying we need another day. And the reason is it's 168 pages. That lives here. You'll be satisfied like the rest of others who came before us here and they left satisfied. Thanks.
By now, unless you're new to the channel, you already know I love to watch body language. You see, body language is the communication that communicates, okay? Your mouth might be saying one thing, but your body is saying another thing. And General Phahlane's body language as he listens and looks intently at Julius Malema is giving, how dare you? Who do you think you are? I am the general, okay? So he is seated and you see him do a movement where he literally like shrugs. He's folding his arms to his chest, which is a defensive move. And then he pouts with his mouth, a sign of, I'm going to hold back on what I really want to say, but man, do I want to respond. So he stares at him, which is kind of an intimidation tactic as well, because, of course, this is the general, okay? Let me know if you agree, but that's what I took away from his body language. What Julius Malema said absolutely enraged him. It enraged him that I came here and I'm telling you, I've got 168 pages and your response doesn't match the energy I was looking for. I was looking for that sympathy. I was looking for effect. But at the end of the day, it was effect. They didn't finish. They had to adjourn. So was he wrong? Let me know in the comment section down below. But let's also watch this clip.
I was sitting here that the president, then President Jacob Zuma, appointed me as an acting National Commissioner of the South African Police Service. That was the 14th of October 2015. Appointments at that level are not made by the minister. They are made by the president. He appoints and he disappoints, if English says so.
He said something that made me think of present day police minister. Well, at least special leave of absence police minister Senzo Mchunu. We haven't forgot about you, sir, okay? Senzo Mchunu wrote the disbandment letter of the PKTT and said it needed to go immediately. We later found out in the Madlanga Commission when the top of the legal over there at SAPS came and said police minister has no jurisdiction. He's not the man to tell us all this. He stepped on Masamola's toes. Isn't it ironic that it seems to be a repetition of what happened? And it's giving ANC police ministers are the problem. Do you agree? So, according to Phahlane, well, Fikile Mbalula at the time, I wonder if Fikile Mbalula is going to respond, because you know Fikile Mbalula loves to respond. And now it makes sense. If you remember, on the 6th of July 2026, Fikile Mbalula came out gushing when it came to the press conference that General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi did. Now it makes sense because it was police minister to police minister. I think he was defending his colleague. Anyway, we're not there. Do you think Fikile Mbalula is going to respond in the same manner he responded when it came to Brown Mokgotsi? But anyway, let's get back to the point I wanted to make. So, police ministers from the ANC seem to have a tendency to not exactly understand their jurisdiction, their roles, what they can and cannot do. So for me, it's giving, I'm ANC anyway, I can do whatever I want. It will also be interesting to hear if then President Jacob Zuma has something to say on the matter. Anyway, this is definitely a developing story. I'll be watching it closely. You already know the house rules. Remember to like, to comment, to subscribe. That's essential to the channel. I appreciate you. I'll catch you, of course, on the next one. In my previous video, please go ahead and check out the previous video. I'm going to link it somewhere up here. Please go and watch the previous video where I talk about the child who has been taken by her father, okay, to Congo without the mother's permission. One thing I want to say is, wow, the tone of the comments. See, I don't delete comments. I don't delete comments. I don't believe in deleting comments. I think it is atrocious when people expose what they really think. And the one thing I want to respond, who are we to govern who somebody falls in love with, whether they're a foreign national or not? I think I want to actually do a series on it because it seems to be a burning hot topic. Don't date foreigners, says the men of South Africa, or should I at least say some men. They want our South African sisters to date South African men. But so are they saying that South African men are the ones who are responsible for GBV? No? Are they saying that it is the foreigners that are responsible for GBV? So if they are to say South African women date South African men only, because that's the tone, the vibe I'm getting in the comment section. If they're to say date South African men only, then I'm going to ask you, why? What is it about South African men that will make the sisters remain within the South African dating pool? The topic can even be even broader because there's also dating interracial, right? So I think it's unfair to set such a global standard to say don't date outside your, not even race, don't date outside your intimate countrymanship. I don't even know if that's a word, but yeah, don't date outside the men of your country. No. And before you start dating, check their citizenship status. And then before you start reproducing, make sure that you're reproducing only with the South African. And then I say to myself, if that is the request of the South African men in the comment section, why is there GBV? Why is South Africa the highest level of GBV? I'll leave that for you to ponder on. And I also want you as well to watch the previous video where I read to you Paul O'Sullivan's letter to General Phahlane. No, that's not a letter. That's an email threat to General Phahlane at that time. These two have a very interesting relationship. Most importantly, Paul O'Sullivan, a significant taxpayer, has an interesting way of going after people. But I'm going to end it right here. If you've made it this far in the video, you absolutely have my heart. Thanks for watching the ads. I'll catch you on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, and absolutely share. I appreciate you. Bye.